Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2000 or 2001 Honda, it's a CR-V, and we're going to diagnose a rattling noise in the front end. Now, very important with a rattling noise, you got to know what type of rattling noise it is. Is it a brake-related rattling noise, or is it just a noise when you go over a bump? With this particular vehicle, when you drive over bumps, it's when you hear the rattling noise. It has nothing to do when we apply the brakes, because the noise doesn't make any difference when you apply the brake whatsoever. So we're going to be looking for some front end issues, whether it's struts or ball joints or bushings. We're going to try to rule out everything in the front. Especially when you get to these older vehicles, you never know what you're going to run into. Most cars are all the same, whether it's this older vehicle or if it's a newer vehicle. Trying to isolate a noise in the front end sometimes going to be a little difficult. So I'm going to show you exactly what to do step by step to try to pinpoint what the noise is the first time without having to change some parts that are not required. Alright, let's get in there, take a look and see what it looks like, and don't forget, subscribe to my channel. You like what I'm doing, give me the big thumbs up. Let's get in there. First thing you want to do underneath the vehicle is you want to check to make sure there's no play in the wheel. That noise that you hear right there is just the steering wheel moving up inside the car. Everything looks good. There is a little bit of an issue right here. Let me show you what that is. This vehicle is most likely going to have multiple issues because it is a fairly old vehicle. But I'm going to go through it. We'll see what it is, and we'll give the customer the option of doing the repair or what they want to do. All right. Let me show you the first issue we have. First issue we have is right up in here. This is the ball joints here. See, that's the ball joint. Now watch when I rock the wheel. You see that movement in the ball joint? That's definitely one of the noises they're getting. Next thing we want to do is I'm going to show you how to check a little further. I'm going to come up underneath here and we're just going to push up and down. And as you can see, that ball joint is pretty bad. Let me show you a little closer. Just get up here with the pry bar and you pry down on the joint. And that's definitely, you add the weight of the car on top of this, and this will be a significant amount of noise. So we're going to need to either, I'm going to have to call the store and find out if we can change just the joint, or we need to change the entire control arm. So let's continue checking and we'll see what else is going on with this vehicle. Another common problem with these vehicles is that these pieces here, these are called stabilizer links. Very often this is a significant amount of noise also. Alright, and the way you want to check that is you want to just come underneath the arm here, the bar, the stabilizer bar, and just lift up and down very lightly just to see if there's any travel in those cups there, which doesn't seem like there is. Next thing we're going to do is we'll put our bar up on top here, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We have no movement down either, so those stabilizer links are most likely okay. Another problem that we see frequently is underneath here. This is the sway bar again, or stabilizer bar. And what happens frequently in here is these bushings right here wear out all the time. And the way you would test that is just push up and down on it and see if there's any kind of play or movement in this area right here. I know it's a little bit tough to see there, but right in here is where you would have the play. And if you take the bar and lift it up and down and you have any movement in there, then we know that that would be bad. In this case here, that looks fine. Everything looks good there, no problem with that. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to check this lower ball joint over here to see what condition this ball joint is in also. It's going to be a little difficult to check and show you because I have to jack it up with a floor jack, but one way you can test is to go underneath here with a pry bar and just pry up and down, see if you have any movement, which you don't. The next way we're going to do is we're going to lower the vehicle down. We're going to put a jack underneath this part of the frame here, raise it up, and I'm going to put a pipe underneath the wheel, and we're going to rock it up and down. So I'm going to lower it down, and we're going to test the lower ball joints, and then we have a pretty good idea what the problem is here already. I don't think there's going to be an issue with the lower ball joint because it seems to be tight, but we're going to just confirm it by lowering it down and checking a little further. And the other side is similar as this side here. We're going to check the first thing we're going to check is we're going to check this here. That looks okay. We're going to grab the bar, move it up and down. No movement in there. Next thing we're going to do, put this underneath our stabilizer bar and check to see if there's any play in there. Now, there is a little bit of play in there. Same thing here. Pry down. Alright, there is a little bit of play in that one, so we're going to see if the customer wants to go ahead and do that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to check these tie rod ends right here. Right here to see if we have any play in there. The way you would do that is you would grab the... Right, the way you would do that is two different ways you can do it. One, we go on the other side of the wheel and we do it, or you can go up and down on the bar, up and down, and this movement here, this turning movement, that's a normal movement. That's supposed to move like that. But it's the up and down movement that you're not supposed to have. And there is no up and down movement. If you grab the wheel and you rock it in and out, there is no movement in this at all here. So we know that that tie rod end is okay. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to lower it down and we're going to check the ball joints on both sides. Okay, this is how you would check the ball joint. You jack up the lower control arm, you jack it up until the wheel is off the ground, and then you put a pipe underneath the wheel and you rock it up and down. And then what that does, it releases the pressure off of that ball joint over there from the strut, and now we can accurately check the ball joint to see how good it is or how bad it is. So let me get up there and we'll rock it and we'll see what it looks like. Once you've got the weight off the vehicle, you put the pipe underneath the wheel and you move it up and down. And as you can see, the lower ball joint has no movement in it whatsoever, but the upper ball joint has a significant amount of noise in it. And that would definitely be the noise when you go over any kind of bumps. So let me show you on this side over here. Bring it right there. That would definitely be the noise that the customer is getting. So let's make some phone calls, get a price on parts, and we'll see what we're going to be doing. Alright, so in conclusion, we know that everything in the front end, the lower ball joints are good, the tie rod ends are good, the sway bar bushings are good, the sway bar links have a little bit of movement, and the ball joints are no good. So let's make some phone calls and we'll come right back. Okay, after talking to the parts store, they tell me that there's no ball joints available for this one. You have to change the upper control arm, and it comes as a complete assembly. So let's get the wheels off and let's get started. I'm going to show you what to do, and we'll get these control arms wrapped up, and we're going to change the stabilizer links at the same time. So let's get these wheels off and get started. Sometimes they come pretty hard on there, so if you hit them, sometimes you can get them off. In this case, you can't. So we're going to persuade it with a hammer. Now, when you knock these off, you really don't want to hit the rim itself because you'll bend the rim. So what you do is you hit the tire right here. You hit it pretty firmly, and they usually come right off. All right, let me show you what we're going to have to do in that. All right, what we're going to be basically doing, fairly easy, we're going to take out this cotter pin right here, take off that nut right there, and then we're going to lower it down, and we'll take out these bolts up on the control arm right here. We're going to lubricate these before we do, because they look like they're pretty rusty, and we sure as heck don't want them to break. So, all right, let's get started on that ball joint. Okay, now we're going to just spray everything up with a little bit of penetrating oil before we do anything. Makes it a lot easier later on. Try to take everything out. What you're going to do is you're going to take out your carder pin, which is right up under here. Sometimes this is the hardest part of the whole job, is taking out that carder pin. But we'll see. Especially when you get to these older vehicles and they're so rusty. With your pliers, and you can pull it out and get rid of it, because we're not going to need it. We're going to put a new one in. Then we're going to take out this nut here. It's a 17 millimeter. You can use a wrench, or you can use a socket, whichever works for you, whichever you can get on there. Never use the open end part of a wrench, because you're going to strip it, and it's going to be very difficult to get off. All right, next thing we're going to do is just take it all the way, so it's almost all the way off. Now, when you take this out, you've got to be careful, because you don't want to stretch and break any of these cables here. This is all for the ABS here. You don't want to break it. Leave your nut on there for now, and then you've got two options. You got to separate it. You can get in here with an air gun, and you can do it like this. Or if you don't have air, which if you're doing it on the street you may not, you can get a fork like this, and you put it in here like this, and you can hit it, and you can break it loose like that. Let's see. All right? Or obviously, if you have an air gun, use the air. Now we have that separated. We want to make sure that this knuckle doesn't pull out. But what I'm going to tell you to do, you want to keep this knuckle from pulling out. So you can use a bungee cord to hold it in place like this, or you can tie it down with whatever, piece of wire, piece of rope, whatever you've got. All right? Now that you have it broken loose, you can take the nut off. Nut off, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie that back so that it doesn't move. We're going to go behind the strut. We're going to secure this back so it doesn't pull out by accident and create a problem with the ABS. That bungee will hold it back while we go up top, and we disconnect the rest of the strut here. So let's lower it down and get started up top. Okay, now that we have the vehicle back down on the ground, the nuts that we need to get to are going to be down inside here on the passenger side. So we're going to remove this air filter assembly, and we may have to take the battery out and the battery box to get to that back bolt over there, but we're going to see how that goes. So we're going to take this out, and we're going to remove the battery box. And maybe one more bolt. Yep, down inside here. There's one more. We're going to take that out too. We'll get this out of the way so we can access that nut. Down here is on the passenger side. This one, as you can see, is much easier. That's the nut right down in there. Or bolt, I should say. That one comes out. And then the other one is down around the back. Over here, down in here. And that one also is fairly easy to get to. So we shouldn't have to move much out of the way. But this side over here is going to be a little bit more involved. We're going to have to probably take that battery out to gain access to it, but we'll see how that goes. All right, let's take that box out and we're going to continue. Take these bolts out. Hold on to them because you're going to need to put them back in later. And I just told you there's one more down inside here. We're going to take that one out too. And then we'll take this box off. And I'll just pull this box out here, disconnect it from the snorkel here. Just relocate this off to the side. And then the bolt that we have to take out is right here. And there's one more on that side here. Don't lose these bolts because we're going to need to reuse them again. And let's see what I'm going to do in the back there. Let me show you where the bolt is actually located in there. This is the bolt right down in there. You can see it right down by the battery hold down itself. That's the bolt right there that we need to get to. So I've broken it loose with the bigger wrench like this. I was able to break it loose. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get in here with a ratcheting wrench and take it out the rest of the way. Okay, I just want to show you that I did have to remove this this air snorkel here because it was a little bit, that bolt was really badly rusted, so I had to get a little more room so I can get my hand inside there. I took this off. Basically, you just unscrew the clamp that holds it in place, take the electrical wiring connector out of here, pull that tube out, and it's off. And it gives you a lot more room to get your hands inside there. But this one here was so badly rusted, it just made it very difficult to get in there and get to it. So, all right, now we have it out. Don't lose the bolt. Don't lose the bolt. We're going to need to reuse that again. And let's pull that arm off and get the new one in there. Okay, once you've got the little bolts out, then you just come down inside here. And this arm just comes right out. Just like that. Fairly easy. Alright, let me get the new one. And we're going to put the new one back in and we'll get this job wrapped up. Okay. The replacement, you just slide the replacement in here, and then we're going to go up top and we're going to put the bolts through and tighten them up. What I would recommend doing is catching your front bolt here first, because it's going to be easier getting this one in than that one back there right now. Now you're going to need to get your arm up underneath the bottom and just move it around so you can get your bolt in here and caught. So just going to make sure it's caught in there first, and then we'll put the back one in. And before we tighten it up or do anything, we're going to get this back bolt in there also. And I will tighten up this one here with the ratchet. Okay. And next thing we're going to do, we're going to reassemble this up in here because we're finished up in the top here now. So let's put the air snorkel back on, and we'll complete everything up top here. This just goes back in the way it came out. I'm going to catch this hose back in here. Just tighten up a little bolt on top here that holds the snorkel tube onto the air intake. Reinstall the clips that we previously took off so that the wiring is up and out of the way. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our air box back in. And it just goes back in, obviously, just a reverse of how you took it out. This is just spring-loaded here, so you can just push it on. And reattach the bolts that we previously took out. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to lift the vehicle up and we're going to reattach our ball joints. Okay, now once we get it back up, we're going to remove that bungee that we had on here to keep the knuckle from moving. And we're just going to take this nut off. And this is a protective cover that saves the rubber boot. Throw that away, and then we just lift this up right through the knuckle like that. Make sure your cotter pin is in a good position for you to access it later. Screw the nut on. Grab your 17mm wrench or socket, whichever you have, and tighten it up. Right, and make sure when you turn it so that your cotter pin lines up like this, and then just bend your cotter pin down and around, and that's it. Job is all done. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go around to the other side, and we're going to finish that job off over there, and we're going to wrap it up. Alright, thanks for watching. Any questions, any comments, anything I can do for you, drop me a line. Be more than happy to talk to you about anything. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.